Welcome to World Water Week 2022 in Stockholm. My name is Emilio Tenuta. I'm the Chief Sustainability Officer for Ecolab, and we're excited today to facilitate a conversation on a new white paper that was actually released today on beyond volumes, looking at the societal value of corporate water stewardship. And I'm joined by my panelists, Paul Rieg, the founder of Blue Risk, and Jean Fabre, the water lead for Danone. And we're going to talk today about the methodology and the measurement that takes us beyond volume to really look at the societal value that are being delivered by projects in local watersheds. Number of organizations that contributed to this, but the co-authors, Valuing Impact, Bonneville Environmental, and this gives us an opportunity to also talk about the contributors, including Ecolab, Danone, Coca-Cola, as well as Nestle. And so my first question will be to Paul Rieg. And Paul, thank you for joining us. I wanted to start the conversation with a little bit of background. When we think about the situation with water, fresh water today is obviously a finite resource. And so to provide some background, I think it's important for our audience to know that, business as usual by 2030 will lead to a 56% water deficit. And today, more than 3 billion people live in water-stressed areas. And so I guess my first question to you is, why do we need to, go beyond volumes?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Emilio. So why going beyond volumetric benefits is a measure of success for projects? I think there are two reasons. The first is that the same volume of water is going to contribute very differently in different places, right? The social, economic, and political context in each watershed is completely different. So looking at volumes alone is a really good starting point, but it doesn't give us the full picture of how that project's contributed to the overall watershed health. So that's one reason. And the second is that, because of that, using volumes only goes so far in understanding the impact that you as a company are having in that watershed when you're investing in a project, and therefore it's hard to understand the return on investment, the overall value generated through that investment. So because of those two reasons, we're proposing in this white paper to look at volumetric benefits, and when needed, to go beyond that and understand the full suite of societal benefits that are generated through an investment.
So there's a lot more than volumes that can contribute to that benefit that we're just not accounting for, it sounds like. And Jean, I just want to go to you, and Danone obviously being a brand that everyone loves. When you look at your role as lead for water stewardship at Danone, how are you actually supporting some of this work that Paul's talking about in your facilities around the world?
We have to think that when we need to decide which type of interventions we would like to develop in the different places where we want to have a positive impact, there are multiple of interventions we can choose. Mainly, Danone has decided to work on nature-based solutions, but as you were saying, and to echo that, water interventions lead to many different multiple benefits. And so understanding which type of interventions will lead to which type of benefits help us to understand how to prioritize and to choose the interventions that will have the best impact in the places where we operate.
Well, that is, as Ecolab, as I lead our strategy, we have a business strategy that is very focused on helping our customers manage water within their operations. And we're seeing the shift also happening where more and more industry wants to understand beyond that environmental benefit, what other benefits can we account for? And I think it's, for Ecolab, there's a project that we've been involved in with the Bonneville Environmental Foundation and a number of other organizations that's focused on you really delivering to the Colorado River Indian tribe some benefits that go beyond. And so for us, just to build on what you said, it's about the infrastructure that the tribe is really focused on, which has aged over years, to help them, in their agricultural irrigation practices, to modernize them and invest in those in that infrastructure that enables them to have economic benefits and social benefits beyond just the water replenishment benefits that we're getting at Ecolab, which is great, but it's not the only thing. And so that kind of reminds me in the white paper, and by the way, I urge our audience to download that white paper on Valuing Impact's website as well as Blue Risk's website, which is available today. Paul, I want to go to you because there's some terms that were developed in this white paper when you look at the framework, one of them being the social return on investment, and another being the outcome of quality of life impacted. Can you share with the audience a little bit more about what those terms mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So for every project that we looked at, we evaluated different pathways through which you're making a difference through the project, and these could be pathways that deliver economic outcomes or social outcomes, environmental outcomes, and even within environmental outcomes, there are multiple outcomes you could have: improvements in biodiversity, and you could have improvements in topics related to climate, water, soil health, right? So what we do, or why we chose the societal return on investment metric, is because it allows us to look at all those different pathways and combine them into a single metric, right, of improved quality of life in economic terms, that can then be used to compare that to the dollar invested. And that's what societal return on investment is. It's for every dollar you put into a project, what's the societal value generated in response? So anything over one is you're having a positive return, right? Put in $1, if you get more than $1 back, you're contributing societal benefits through that project.
And Paul, just so the audience knows, in this white paper, do you get into more of the ways to actually apply those principles in projects? Do you get to that level of detail?
We allude to that towards the end as kind of one of the key insights, is that understanding the full suite of benefits and the potential for societal value creation. It can be really helpful upfront during project discovery and project design to make sure you're working with your project implementers and partners to optimize for the full suite of potential benefits that could be derived from the project. Something that I think a lot of companies are already doing, but this method, helps quantify that in a way that can support decision making further. Yeah.
So that then leads me to you, Gian. When you think of the application of what Paul is talking about for Danone or for Ecolab, from your perspective, you've been for many years a corporate water steward leader. How do you see applying some of these principles that Paul's talking about in this white paper?
So as a company, and as many companies, we used to see water stewardship prioritization processes within companies through the water risk assessment lens. Then we have decided to go beyond only looking at risk, but as well looking at mitigations and adaptation plans that are really tailored to the context in which we operate. I think that now, with this type of analysis, looking at the social return on investment, we can prioritize further where we can really lead to a positive impact locally. This is exactly what this project is helping. It's helped us as well to bring the discussions to another level within the company and to trigger further investment into water stewardship projects beyond as well, like trade-off, like should you invest more in water or like soil health, regenerative agriculture. I think through this type of approach, we can see that you can answer multiple objectives of the companies and restore health of the watersheds by actually combining, regenerative agriculture performancing, soil health, gender equality, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we saw this at Ecolab with the Colorado River Indian Tribe project ourselves, where, to your point, we were able to really, thanks to Paul and Sam, really quantify those activities through a new lens around environmental flows, around irrigation practices, around advocacy. How does that then lead to the outcomes that we can measure that ultimately lead to the social return on investment? So for us, it becomes one of those opportunities to, at a single site, single project, we can now look at those critical metrics or key performance indicators, I call them, that we haven't before. But I think more broadly, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is scaling this across an enterprise. How would you work with your finance team to really look at a portfolio of projects?
Yes, I think that it's the CDP who released a report 1 year or 2 years ago about the cost of inactions versus the cost of actions. And I think that they said that cost of actions actually were 5 times lower than cost of inaction. I'm going to be, with this tool, able to prove with numbers this reality to the finance team. And I think it's going to be a real game changer.
Well, thank you. And I want to give each of you the last word as we wrap up our session together. And I wanted you to tell us kind of your billboard statement. What is that point that you want to leave with the audience based on this white paper that's released today? Paul, let's start with you.
Yeah, maybe just one key takeaway for the audience is that making the effort to understand the full suite of societal benefits of a water stewardship project really helps us understand the relevance of that project towards the watershed, right? Understanding the volumes is critical, but to understand the relevance for the full suite of stakeholders for the project, societal benefits is a good way to do it. And therefore, it helps companies really integrate different priorities into that decision-making process when they're selecting and designing a project.
Gian?
Volumetric benefit accounting is key. It's a commitment many companies have made. It's something we track, but it doesn't tell you necessarily how much you have improved the life or the ecosystems around your production site. I think with the social return on investment, we are getting there, going beyond volumetric benefit accounting and really understanding the full positive impact we can have.
Well said. I think the good news is that corporate water stewardship is at a tipping point. We actually are now moving into a phase that we've been all wanting to, which is to begin to look beyond the volumetric benefits and really start to quantify and measure this holistic societal value. And so I urge everyone online today to really go to Valuing Impact in the Blue Risk website to download this white paper, Beyond Volumes, the Societal Impact of Corporate Water Stewardship. And I want to thank my panelists for joining me today to convey that very important message around what corporations are doing today to really drive water stewardship. Thank you. Have a great day.
And thank you, Emilio.